Casey, owner of Baby O and I Consulting, which is a sleep consulting practice for children 0 to 4 years old. And today we are going to talk about books during the bedtime routine. So this might seem pretty obvious because everyone knows that bedtime books are generally a part of a really great bedtime routine. But we're going to talk a little bit about why it's so important and kind of what it does. So, I always recommend having books be a part of a bedtime routine for a couple of different reasons. And this even includes those teeny tiny little babies in that newborn stage. So, reading books at bedtime is a really nice bonding moment just to start out. It's one time in the day when you can really get quiet, get focused, have that one-to-one time, and be spending it together. So, ending the day with that kind of bonded, nice, relaxed, quiet, soothing moment is going to be really nice, especially if you are a parent that really likes to have that one-to-one time. If you feel like you maybe want to do some gentle sleep training, but you're nervous about how to make that transition, having books in the middle, like right before you put them down into the crib, it's going to feel like a really nice flow in. If you're used to rocking, you can still do that rocking, but you can turn it into a book time instead of kind of just a rocking time. Another reason is because for your child, it actually helps them learn language and build literacy. So the way that children learn how to speak is through listening to others speak. So even if you are constantly talking and narrating throughout the day, that can feel pretty awkward. But another good way to get in additional language and maybe some vocabulary that you may not typically be using around the house is in books. If you don't live on a farm, you're probably not talking a bunch, even if you're narrating your day about horses and goats and cows and things like that. So it's a really nice way to bring some of the outside world in and help add vocabulary for your child that you may not be talking about because it's not something that you're seeing in your day-to-day life. It also really helps them just get to know like the grammar around specific things, especially in the English language, which has some very strange kind of grammar semantics. I don't even know if that's the right word, but it's a really nice way for them to just hear how language is developed, what words are plural, what words are not, things like that. So in addition to that bonding, it just really helps them learn the English language or whatever language that you're speaking to them while you're reading that book. But it also helps them with beginning literacy as they get older, so they can see kind of you can point out the words, the direction that you're reading from right to left. That after first we do this page, then we do this page, then we turn the page. So they can just get to know how do we even hold a book? What is the correct positioning to hold the book, all of those good things. So it's really, really great to add in bedtime books if you do not already. If you currently don't read books at bedtime, I would recommend, again, it being the very last thing that you do before putting them into the crib. Teeth are brushed, PJs are on, everyone is bathed, like you're ready to go. This is the last thing to really get that nice last snuggle in, have that really nice moment, and then be able to drift off to sleep. If you're wondering, like we tried to do bedtime books, but things just got crazy. My little one was asking for way too many books, or it was taking them forever to pick a book. You can help them limit the number of books. So say you come to a big, huge bookcase and you're overwhelmed. There's so many books to choose from. How are you supposed to know which one? And then someone comes and says, here's 4 books. Pick one out of these 4. That's going to make your choice a lot easier. So you can do the same thing for your little one. If they have a lot of books in their room, you can either physically move a lot of the books out so they just have about 10 to 15 to choose from, or you can just pull out, 3 and say, which 2 books do you want to read tonight? So it's going to make the choice a lot easier, and it's going to take away some of that, like, that overwhelm, which may be why they become upset and don't want to read any books. And it's also going to give them that feeling of, I got to make the choice. I'm the one that's kind of in charge here. So it really gives them a sense of purpose and a sense of power. once those books are read, maybe they may want you to read additional books, or they may want you to read that same book over and over and over again. Again, that is how they learn language. It may be repetitive and boring to us, but it really helps build that foundation for them. But also having those books set out and saying pick the 2 books that we're going to read also builds that boundary of we're reading 2 books tonight, and then we are going to bed. So if you have a child that is on the older end, 2.5, 3, 4, and they're requesting more books, more books, more books. Really having that boundary of these are the 2 physical books that you pick out before we even start reading them, so they know where that boundary is and then when the books will end. So if you have any other questions about incorporating books into your bedtime routine, or if books are taking over your bedtime routine, pop them in the comments. I'm also going to put a link to some of my favorite bedtime books for newborns up to preschoolers. So if you are looking to incorporate some new books into your bedtime routine, this is definitely a list you're going to want to check out.